Welcome back. Welcome back to a special episode of Sonic Weekly, the podcast that's about Sonic the Hedgehog every 7 days or so, asterisk. I'm Grant, one of your hosts, and with us is Bo. Hi, Bo.
Speed me up. I am happy to be talking about Sonic with friends. Again.
And here he is, out of the shadows into the spotlight, star of the show, David the Lurker.
Whoa, hi Grant, hi Bo. That's right. It's a very special episode because we're going to find out today that one of us is addicted to caffeine pills.
Oh,
Which
no.
is, of course, the only safe drug-related episode to reference, because otherwise, then you're dealing with, well,
some heavy things. You know, you can just drink coffee all day and no one will stop you.
It feels like someone should, but they won't.
no. Big Coffee doesn't want you to stop.
Yeah.
Big Coffee wants you to drink.
They want you to keep slurping it up.
Right. I mean, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and you can't move and the Starbucks mermaid is just floating over your bed? Yeah.
Like in Ghostbusters?
Wait, you guys sleep?
I do sleep from time to time.
I actually really am prone to those sleep paralysis dreams where classically something is like floating over you. And
Oh, wow.
like the first several years of it was kind of terrifying, but like by the end it was like, all right, this again. Boring.
All right.
Guess I'll wait till wake up.
Wow.
And then it went away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And never again?
Occasionally. It was like
okay.
every night for like 9 years and then
Wow.
like now twice a year.
Okay.
No idea.
Wow.
Huh.
I have been playing Nights into Dreams, which
Oh,
is a
okay.
game
Oh, yeah.
by Sonic Team. I've been
Sonic.
playing it on the Sega Saturn, and I finally just finished it on the Saturn. I had played it through to completion on Xbox, the remake.
Mm-hmm.
Still need to get all the A ranks, but Nights, just kind of playing Wiseman from both Elliot and Claris's perspective, and the story of them trying to see if it makes sense. Does the story of Nights make sense to you? They meet in each other's dreams and then they see each other in real life.
Yeah.
And they essentially just find the strength within and the power of friendship, damn it, to overcome their fears, and they get past the audition and they score a hoop in the basketball game. They get a couple of points. I guess that, that makes sense, right?
It really is like much higher stakes for Claris than it is for Elliot. She's got this big singing performance to do in front of people for the 100th anniversary of Twin Seeds, and he's got just a basketball game where he's not really even in a uniform, just like a pickup game, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. They're just hanging out. Those are just kids from the other school, and they're like, hey, this is the only way we'll communicate with each other, right? Ha ha ha. Yeah, and meanwhile, Claris, I mean, she's not just trying out for anything. Who's the director? It's Steven Spielberg.
What? He seems asleep too.
Right, she could end up in the next Jurassic Park if she plays her cards right. Yeah, I mean, whichever one that is.
The next appearance of Claris and Elliot, I guess, is Christmas Nights, but after that, it's Burning Rangers. They appear as special survivors in Mission 2, and their story is very strange. So they're in this water park, an aquarium. A fire breaks out. They need to be rescued. Claris says, oh, I was doing rehearsals for my show. We came to the water park / aquarium for the day and we got stuck. And Elliot says something like, we were playing basketball in the aquarium and then we got stuck. Why was he playing basketball in an aquarium?
Yeah. What?
That's a little...
Kid loves basketball.
Sure. But it's a dangerous place to play, I would say, to young Elliot.
You could slip at any point on the water.
Or the basketball could land in the shark tank, and who's going to jump in and get it? Not me.
Yeah, you're going to draw the short straw for that one.
Yeah.
So how are you finding Nights into Dreams? You said you played it. Are you score attacking? Are you...
Now I'm score attacking to get the A ranks, and looking at it again just through the lens of like the story, and like, does it, it's pretty abstract in some ways, and I don't want the version of it where it like is more literal, of like you're collecting fears to like get inspiration points. I mean, it kind of is that because it's called ideas and sort of but like it's still a little bit more abstract, like I said.
I think if you read the Archie books way back in the day, like that really informs how you interpret the game. But
For
like,
sure.
not all of that is in there in the game.
No, right. In the Archie, it's definitely more like, you know, the monsters are representing like the actual kids from the basketball court or the people on the panel at the audition. And I don't think that's the case in the actual game. Like nobody is it Gillywog? Gillywag?
Gilwing, yeah.
Gilwing.
Right. None of them are actually the monsters, but in the comic,
they really nail it, I think, in the comic on some of them, like Puffy being the opera instructor for Claris makes a whole lot of sense. And if you haven't played the game in a while, you might remember it that way. But no, that's actually an Elliot boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Nights into Dreams.
Oh yeah, Nights into Dreams is great. Well, what stages are you still attempting to get that A rank on?
Well, the only A rank I have is the 2 final stages on Elliot and Claris's side.
Mm.
The rest are C's for the most part.
Oh, okay.
So I've got to clean it up. But you know,
it's your strategy. What are you doing? We're gonna workshop
using the
here.
3D control pad.
Oh, good. So you're using true 360-degree movement.
That's true. Yeah,
that's good. That is the. I was once chastised for never playing Knights with that control pad because as a kid, I just had the normal Saturn controller, and they're like, "No, you never played Knights." And it is a significant. You know, it is different.
It's better. Yeah.
It is better with the 3D. All right. So you're using the 3D pad.
It would be insane to say I prefer the D-pad. That would just be nuts.
I guess that would be strange. And since you're doing it on a Saturn, that means it is the original because even the remake, it's not full 360 degrees, right? It's like 32 points.
There's a nice patch that fixes it all up, but
yeah, but it's still not 100.
Yeah,
well, 360, whatever. Look, it's a
difficult game. It's what I like about it from a gameplay perspective is how it really is this point in time where the Sega arcade game making philosophy and the console, like they were trying to find like a meeting ground between the two. So it's like it's very arcadey. You can imagine playing a stage, I think, in an arcade setting, although it never was. But it has, because of the loop.
Oh yeah, easily could have been an arcade game. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it has that feeling of being a port of an arcade game that never existed, and I like that about it. I'm glad that they're, it would, I think, if they were to make a new Knights, like having like a open area hub world at least would be fun. I have heard so many negative things about Journey of Dreams that I haven't found the will to play that yet.
I think I've said it on here. Like Journey of Dreams is a good 2-hour game embedded in a bad 10-hour game. And
yeah,
the good part is the core arcade loop where you're doing the real Knights thing, and the rest of it is just a filler.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need an owl to explain anything to you, but he's there.
You don't need the owl. You don't need the mini games where you raft and
you don't
do bounce bubbles, and
there definitely shouldn't be levels that are just fake Claris and fake Elliot.
Yeah.
Those feel like a big waste of time. The core loop is good, even though it's only 3 instead of 4. So it's still like, I don't know exactly what they were thinking. I mean, we know the story, the secret story that they've never confirmed, but is obviously true, where it was meant to be on the 360 and the PS3. It was shoved onto the Wii instead. Has, I think, one of the worst intro trailers ever. I think Sega of America has never understood how to advertise Knights.
No, if you haven't seen it, go look up the extremely weird commercial for Knights in the US where Knights drops a PlayStation from a tall height.
The fly plaything fly ad, which is like, you're trying to pitch me something that's even more extreme than the PlayStation, but it's not.
But it's a purple jester.
It's a purple, right? And then
there's never been a game like Sega Saturn's Knights.
Like, exactly, which is true, but shouldn't say it in that voice. And then, of course, the Journey of Dreams advertisement, it felt very like rip-off Disney vibes, like the voiceover, and they're like, oh, it's and I'm like, no, that's still wrong. Like, you're trying to overcompensate for what you did in the 90s with this, but it's still wrong. It doesn't, this makes me think it's it's some weird rip-off Disney musical. Who wants to deal with that. You get that in the dollar bin. But no. So they just never understood it, even though Journey of Dreams is inferior to the original in almost every way.
Although a lot of like people who love Knights did work on Journey of Dreams, and I think they tried to make it good, but the context of what Sega was trying to do would just prevent that from being true.
So you're trying to get the A's.
Trying to get the links together, and it's difficult. It's tricky.
Are you waiting until the countdown is almost to the end before you finish the loop? Are you doing
Yes.
that? Okay.
I am, but I'm not sure that that's right. Like, it doesn't seem like it always
want to do
helps.
as many loops as you can. For sure.
Okay. All right.
You definitely want.
Don't question that.
Right.
But it's so devastating if you miss, though, right? Like, it's so awful if you like become a kid. I basically turned the game off at that point. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, you're toast if that happens.
Right. You don't want to be a kid.
Oh, a few of the mares you can chain the links from one loop into the next one, and those are the ones where you really run up the score. So if you do poorly or average on the rest of the mares, that can make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then the other thing is if you can dispatch the bosses quickly, then that's a multiplier.
Oh, yeah.
That makes up for a lot also.
Who's your favorite Knights boss?
Ooh, I feel like Puffy is, to me, the iconic one. Like, there's no boss like that elsewhere that I can think of. Like, they try it again in Journey of Dreams and do it worse, sadly. But
that's true.
This is a little bit of hacking that I enabled but did not do myself. But the Grimmer Warden, one of the premier Knights hackers, recently found that in the Jackal stage that there's an unused bit where you would have to do this card matching game, like a memory game. And so before the thing starts, you get this array of cards and you got to turn them over. And if you get the matches correct, then you get taken into the boss fight. And if you get them wrong, maybe there's a time penalty. But cool mechanic. They must have cut it late in the game because it's still in there. But A+ for Grimmer Warden. I'm very jealous. I wish I'd found it.
Apparently, that means there's still things hiding in that game.
Yeah.
Maybe you should revisit Knights, dive into it again, see what you.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. I saw that, and it looked very neat. My assumptions, they must have cut it because it makes the boss longer than all the others. I mean, I feel like
so.
Yeah.
From what we can tell about Knights, I feel like they wanted to do more with more of the bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know, like, one of the legendary things about Knights is that there was an entire cut boss called Self.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's SELPH, and sometimes it's SELF. And if you really get deep into it, it like ties into the Jungian dream interpretation theme that Izuka has talked about inspiring Knights. And then Self was like the manifestation of their fears and whatever else, but they cut it before any code could be written, is the story.
Wow.
All right.
But I found the icon for Self in an options menu in an E3 demo. So that's my contribution to the Self lore.
The existence of Self. Right.
Oh, and we know there's going to be a second fight with Riala. That musical track has been on the disc, and I found the options menu thing for it too.
Wow. So I wonder if there was going to be Self and then a second Riala, does that mean that there were supposed to be 2 more stages?
I think it was supposed to be Twin Seeds was one character's, and based on like a name that's in the game data, it was like a spiral staircase level for Claris.
Oh, so it was meant to be completely different, and so they both get Twin Seeds.
Like another stage, yeah.
Okay.
And I think Self was supposed to be like a major boss, the way Riala and Wiseman are.
Man, yeah. I would love to see, at the very least, concept art, because it must exist.
Yeah, for sure.
But they've been, aside from Oshima posting some random pieces of concept art on his Twitter once upon a time, they haven't shown a ton, right? Like,
not a ton.
There was some early, maybe like a little bit when it came out, and then a little bit Oshima was like, here, look at this.
And I think the Oshima, what is it, Twinkle Sprites or Twinkle Stars or whatever it is, the very, very early concept he has in the Sonic design timeframe,
right,
very clearly is something that evolved into Knights.
Right.
And
I think he denied it.
Elliot and Claris. He denies it, but like, I have eyes. I can see.
Yeah, it's about.
There.
It's a dream world. Yeah. I don't know why.
I keep wanting to say Twinkle Star Sprites, but that's a different game.
No, it's like what, Twin Stars?
Twin Stars. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of the world in Balan Is it? I guess it's Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld, yeah.
Yeah.
Is the name of the world?
I guess it doesn't fit as well into the lore because it's owned by a different company.
Yeah.
If they had stuck, do you think if Naka and Oshima had never left Sega that they would have made Balan together? Do you think Balan would have existed?
I don't think so. I think that was maybe kind of an artificial get the band back together type of project.
I mean, yeah, probably. My assumption is they would have eventually made another game that wasn't Sonic, but who knows what form. Like, would a version of Blinks have existed at Sega if Oshima had stayed? Or does that only happen because he leaves?
An interesting question. I would like to play Blinks. I got to make that happen. It's a cool concept, right?
It is a cool concept.
Going back in time and
picked it up on Game Pass at one point or another, but didn't spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah, I've never played it myself, but I've always been interested because it is Oshima.
Well, imagine Blinks and Penabe and I don't know. Is there an iconic probe character in a kart racer with Sonic?
And there's always Ivy the Kiwi.
Sure.
Throw Ivy
the
the
dice
Kiwi
from Shot 2048 in
Yes.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah.
in Sonic Shuffle.
That is Naka's latest, and I still hope it's not his final game. But man, he did update it a couple months ago.
Do you think it's his most played game?
Man, he might play it all the time. He might play it himself every day. He wakes up, it's part of his ritual. Because he's like, yeah, when I play it, I also see the ad. So it's like I'm paying myself. I assume that's his only source of income now, are the ads that play in Shot 2048. But yes, so Grant, you gotta focus on the links. You don't want to break the links. You want to wait till the timer is almost at 0 if you can to do the final pass. And also, if you could enter some sort of fugue state, that probably would help as well.
Yeah, it does. Like, memorizing the stage seems like a big part of it.
Yeah, you want to do that. See, unfortunately, you don't, because I know in Christmas nights there is the one like time attack, or like, oh, how quickly can you do the stuff, and it's neat that it's there, but it's just like the first pass,
one mare.
Yeah. And so I always thought, man, it felt like, oh, maybe they wanted that to exist for all of them, but they didn't have time. And, a lot of random ideas were sort of seemed to be shoved into Christmas nights that definitely could not have made it to the original. Come the remake for the PS2, it would have been neat if they actually let you, be able to practice, be able to do the time attack, be able to do the link attack. But maybe that was just out of the scope. So maybe when they remake it again, they'll finally put it in there, right?
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 version. We are ready. The Sega Ages line. It can continue, perhaps.
Then they could add self.
There you go.
Well, I'll be like, whoa, because it'll be weird. What it'll do, right, is because now it's the modern day and it's connected to the internet and it's linked to your account. So it could like go onto your Facebook and find pictures of you. And then it uses it through an algorithm to create an enemy that looks exactly like you. And you're like, oh,
there you go.
It is me.
Do like a Metal Gear Solid. It like threatens to delete your photos.
Oh,
and
wow.
then does if you fail.
Yeah. It's going to send like, I'm going to send a message to all of your contacts that says this.
How poorly you're playing.
Yeah. That would be...
I'm liking this.
Yeah, Psycho Mantis for a new generation.
Yeah. We should patent these ideas.
Yeah, we should.
Welcome to Night's Chat.
Night's Chat here on Sonic Weekly.
And why not?
Yeah, why not? I think, okay, so from here... we can either check the news in the Sonic, Sega, Saturn direction.
Let's do a speed run through the news. Spoiler for the listeners is we're going to be off for a little bit in the pre-summer time. We'll be away for a few weeks. So this is going to be, let's say we'll end on a cliffhanger and then pick it up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly it. New Chow Tales ends on a cliffhanger. Eggman, he's threatening and hitting Chow, and Sonic is there, and he's ready to throw down.
Yeah, Chow Tales morphs into an actual Sonic action cartoon there for a moment.
Yeah.
And I think I like this one the best.
It's pretty wild. You're right, you see Eggman, right, and the Chow with the eggshell over his face, it cracks. And so we get to see who's underneath. It's a Chow.
Oh.
Accurate to the game. The way to remove those is to throw them into the wall.
Yeah, and then, ooh, what's happening? I guess he's evolving, right? Is he going to evolve into the Sonic Chow? Is that what's supposed to happen?
He's either evolving or dying.
Oh,
He's got to be evolving, right? He's got to be evolving into like a Super Chow or a Sonic Chow.
I think Sonic Chow is probably the best bet, but we don't know how hard he got hit. So
right. Oh,
but if he had a happy life, he'll reincarnate.
Wow.
Right. I guess it would be depressing if the next episode it picks up and you see that Eggman has cleared the forest, and then you just see the graphic of the Chow with the sack over its shoulder saying goodbye, and you're like, wow. Yeah. So that's the biggest news story, right? Chow Tales is still going.
That's right.
And I guess the only other really big news story is that the Koro, the publication that had the Shadow Generations adaptation, they are now doing a new one for Sonic called Sonic and the Blade of Courage. We just have the teaser image, which is Sonic looking like Sonic. So other than that, we just know it's an original story. It's not based on any game.
Not adapting Sonic and the Black Knight.
I guess we'll see what happens. Also, I guess Shadow's one shot from IDW has been delayed. Sorry.
Huh.
But yeah, you mentioned, right, going on break. You said pre-summer. You know what pre-summer is? Spring.
Oh,
I mean, we're going to be
it's
on
a late spring break.
Late spring
break.
break. Woo! Yeah. Spring break. We're going to Cancun together, the three of us, and we're not going to record there.
Yeah.
It's a perfect place for content, but we're rejecting the content.
Or, I mean,
I
don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Oh, so if we come back next week, ignore all this.
Emergency pod, guys.
Right. I guess we should say, like, if something does happen, if Sega releases a game 3 days from now, I guess we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
It's not impossible. We're kind of in like a waiting period for the game.
Mm-hmm.
We have covered a lot of, and we're going to, on this episode, open up the mailbag, return to the gab bag we already have, of just sort of going wherever the tangent leads. And it's always back to Sonic somehow because we force it, frankly.
Keeps drawing us back in.
Oh, yeah. He draws us back in with his energy and the power of friendship. So,
yes.
Those comics do look good. And what about Rings of Saturn?
Rings of Saturn this week, a game people actually like is Fighting Vipers. This is another one of those demo discs where they have the entire thing on it, but just some light restrictions on what you can actually do. And what's cool about this demo disc is that it's from before the game fully came out. It's a few weeks prior. And you can see that they meant for there to be another character, or another costume for a character, I guess. So Honey, the most iconic character from Fighting Vipers, who inspires a Sonic character later in the later Fighters releases. She has another costume we've maybe talked about before that's unused in the final game. She's dressed as Pi from Virtua Fighter, the other AM2 fighter.
Huh.
And in this trial disc, if you get rid of the restrictions, you can select it and play her, and it works great. And they didn't use it for the final game for unknown reasons.
No honey pie.
So fighting Vipers, no honey pie. I don't like the idea. Is honey pie a thing? Like, can you eat a primarily honey pie?
A pie of honey?
Yeah, I don't, it sounds unappealing to me.
I mean, honey pie sounds like a thing. Or maybe it's just
a term of endearment, but I don't know that it literally has
or like a
real
song that was cut from the White Album, maybe.
I think they included it on the White Album. I think they
didn't cut anything
versions of honey pie. Those were the ones that Charles Manson loved.
Oh,
but he wasn't. He was still waiting to record with the Beach Boys.
Is he still waiting?
No, I think he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. They recorded one of his songs, right?
Yeah, they did, didn't they? They did something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's the Saturn's
classic rock radio.
Saturn side, and then I've been doing a series on some weird candy themed games. So there's 7 games that star the M&Ms from the commercials. I looked at one of the ones for PlayStation that's like a Crash Bandicoot clone.
What?
And okay, cool. I found like a cheat menu in there. Like they knew about it on the cutting room floor, but they didn't know how to get to it. So I found how to get to it.
You figured it out.
But that led me to this very delightful game that I love the concept of. And I don't think it's really all that great to play, but Darkened Sky for the GameCube is a game about the mystical powers of Skittles.
Oh.
And so you live in this sort of ancient but kind of modern somehow dystopian society where the powers that be are depriving the populace of Skittles from which they derive their power.
What?
But you, playing as Sky, you find an orange Skittle, which gives you the power to kick off this adventure that leads in the liberation of your people. And whenever they mention Skittles in the manual, they put the registered trademark symbol after it, so it's like all capital Skittles, taste the rainbow, trademark symbol. Yeah, I think it's great. A game about Skittles. This Skittles game has a cheats menu that nobody found in 2003, but I found. Wow. And so if you want to cheat at Darkened Sky and get your Skittles for free.
Sky is the name of the Skittles game.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, thematically, it's on point, David. Like, what would be the opposite of a rainbow? I guess a darkened sky.
Right. I mean, I guess there's only so many ways you can make a Skittles game. I guess the alternative would be adapting the story of Noah's Ark, right? Because at the end, the rainbow, it's the covenant. Like, oh, I will never destroy the world by a flood again. So I give you Noah and your descendants. Yes, well, you get to taste.
When this game came out, did Taste the Rainbow, did they have that slogan yet?
I think they did have that slogan. And there's like a long interview with one of the producers of the game on, I think it's Hardcore Gaming 101, the website that's like characteristically good. Mm-hmm. In his telling, they did the M&M game for Mars Company, and they said, oh, great, how about you do a Skittles game? And they're like, okay, well, shoehorn this into this action RPG that we're working on, Darkened Sky. And so they like weaved in some Skittles stuff to that thing that they were already working on. At the end of it, they were like, do we really want to make this about Skittles? And the programmer said, well, it's too late. We already like programmed it all into the game. And so none of the marketing mentions Skittles. If you can go to the Internet Archive for the game about the GameCube, it mentions nothing about Skittles. It's just like glowing orbs instead of the real Skittles.
Oh, what?
So they like backpedal really hard on the Skittles before the game comes out. But when you play it in the manual, it's all about the power of sugar.
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
So I love the hacking, but also this is sort of a way for me to discover the weird games that got made for inscrutable reasons. And one thing that occurred to me is, okay, 20 plus years later, the games that stand out now are like weird licensed ones based on consumer products like Skittles or movies or weird TV shows. Whereas like a game that's just a game that like maybe people liked or maybe critics liked, but then didn't get followed up with or isn't running today. Like is somehow less relevant than the Dukes of Hazzard PS2 game or
them Duke
the
boys.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer game.
Right.
For sure.
Can't forget 24, the video game. That's another
24, the video game. Yeah.
Right. That has Kiefer Sutherland, right? He's voicing.
or the Wu-Tang Clan game I looked at a few months ago.
Right.
Can't forget the Wu-Tang.
What console do you think had the most, PS2 or Wii? Which had the most of that type of...
I would guess PS2 just because that library is so huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It was huge. It was around forever. It was before the Wii. It was during the Wii.
It was after the Wii.
It was after the Wii,
Yeah.
Like how many Nickelodeon racers are there on the PS2? It's like a bunch.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, I feel like most games like that on the Wii also are on the PS2, even when it was no longer relevant.
Yeah, a lot of cross-platform stuff, licensed games.
Yeah,
cast a wide net.
I only today learned from our Discord that the Metal Virus arc in the IDW Sonic the Hedgehog comics is based on a little hack trick in Sonic Heroes where if you hold down this button, you get the metallic shiny versions of any of the characters, and they have the the black eyes with the red irises. So it's kind of, so it is like sort of distinctly what the metal virus kind of looks like. It's a riff on it in the same way that Surge is riffing on Ashura, in the same way that Scourge was in the Archie comics.
Yeah, those metallic versions of all the characters and heroes, it always felt like a waste, because when you look, on the internet, early days, somewhat early days, early 2000s, you look up and you're like, oh, you get to see metal versions of all the characters. You're expecting Metal Sonic and Metal Knuckles, but instead it's not.
Right. It's the metal virus version.
It's the metal
infected
right.
versions of them.
I guess they seeded that in. They were like, oh, like 20 years from now, or 15, however many years. Look, numbers, 10 and some change. You'll finally understand.
Sonic Heroes is probably going to be the next game that I really saddle up for and try again.
You're going to return to it?
Going to return to it, but on a new save and start over. Just start fresh.
Wow.
And just go again, get back into that flow fugue state.
Right.
Speak the game's language, get into the brain of a madman who's working against all odds, against all hours to program
the level designs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still have my original save file that I started in 2004.
Really?
And I still haven't 100%ed that game. I turned it on a couple weeks back, and I was like, I'm still missing a couple emblems. I'm still missing some of those A ranks. I'm going to do it. I haven't yet.
I got the emeralds, but that was enough.
That was enough. You don't want to unlock super hard mode? You don't want to go through that journey?
No, I don't. I can't.
Yeah.
That journey of dreams?
If a game has Supersonic, I will do that. Like, grinded my way through Lost World to get that. And
wow.
Speaking of Supersonic, David, it has been pointed out to us before that some listeners have enjoyed the tangents into Superman talk. And Bo, have you seen this new Superman trailer? As somebody who doesn't care about,
no, but I've seen a still of it,
okay.
And I see the kind of smirk, and I see some people saying like, finally, a movie that seems to capture the correct vibe about Superman.
Yep.
And so I'm intrigued, because what I really did not like is these like gritty,
right,
dark, dirty looking movies in the DCU that were going on in the last decade. Like, I want blue skies and inspiring music in my Superman, and not this like, why is the city in rubble Superman?
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Right, while he's making out with Lois Lane in the middle of it all. I mean, who doesn't love that? I'm sorry, I got really distracted for a second. You can cut this out if you want, Smoovies. I was just looking over at Sonic Stadium, which is, of course, where we steal all our news. And we're
not stealing it. We're sharing it.
We're sharing other news.
How can we steal the news?
Promoting them.
Right. And underneath the logo.
We promote them every time.
Yes. Yeah. And underneath the logo,
you're welcome.
Whenever you load the site, there's a random tagline.
Oh.
And usually it's about Sonic. But I looked over, and the tagline just says, "We were breastfed, actually."
Oh, it's Ken Pender's stuff.
All right, there is some breastfeeding in the Larasu Chronicles. Yeah.
And Sonic the movie 1.
Yeah. Right. Who is breastfeeding
what?
who in Sonic 1? The film?
He was spitting up formula while he was spitting out formula.
Oh, right.
So and then he retorts that actually I was breastfed.
Actually, I was breastfed. I completely forgot that was a line.
It's an iconic Tom line to Dr. Robotnik.
Right. But just because
I don't think I'm making that up.
You were not making that up. No.
Are we sure that was in the final cut?
Right. But also, if you were breastfed, that doesn't mean that you didn't drink formula from time to time, because
there's a hybrid model.
Yeah.
Right. Because, sometimes baby's hungry. And if you're like, oh, I'm breastfeeding, sometimes you're tapped out, right?
You got to be careful what you say or where you say that in the parent support groups, though. Like, there's some.
Oh, yeah?
The battles over this are wild.
Yeah, I guess I've never had to deal with that myself. I know I was breastfed. I know that much. I was
David, let me stop you there and say and say that I think it's about your reaction to the Superman trailer.
Oh, right, Superman.
We've gone off the rails before, but I don't think we've gone this hard off.
Right. Now, in post-crisis, Superman definitely wasn't breastfed, but we don't.
Yeah, true.
But it's hard to say. I don't know if there's any modern Superman comics where they've gone, yeah, never mind.
Well, how old is young Kal-El, baby Kal-El, when he's rocketed off of Krypton?
I mean, it varies.
Yeah.
I think, they've definitely gone back
David,
to the model.
Let me stop us
Okay,
here. I'm
okay.
so sorry. The trailer, it came out. What did you think?
Oh, okay. The trailer came out and I enjoyed it.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I've enjoyed I've enjoyed the previous trailers, which I guess technically weren't trailers, but they clearly are trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me this fancy jargon. They're trailers. And I enjoyed the new one. I'm definitely I want to see this movie. Now, to be fair, when Man of Steel was coming out and all those trailers came out, I was super excited for those as well, because I'm like, oh wow, like they're doing it. The movie itself, when I watched it, I was like, oh no. But the trailers definitely were hooking me in, so I'm still being hooked in by the trailers, but it definitely feels like this is meant to be a different movie. Just seeing Superman, he's sitting down, he's having a heart-to-heart with his father. Also, we see, I like Jonathan Kent. Like, there's John and Martha, because you also see Martha very briefly in this trailer. And I'm like, oh, there's both of them. They're alive. I think they had announced their casting previously, like, oh, there's a Jonathan, there's a Martha. But sometimes it just feels like they get downplayed. I grew up on Post-Crisis, where Superman is coming into his own. He's learning how to be Superman. And he has both of his, human adoptive parents there. He's able to talk to them. He's able to get advice from them. He's able to lean on them, which is a very important part of the Superman mythos. And I didn't really get an exploration of that in the Snyder films at all. And I know there are some people who are like, they should be dead when he's Superman. But those people also, I think, are like, oh, he should have been Superboy for an extended period of time. But if you don't have Superboy, if you don't have that period of time where he's a teenager and a superhero, like, you need the Kents. You can't just not have the Kents. And I just like them being around. I like them being alive. Not every superhero needs everyone's parents to be dead. I didn't like the fact that Jeff Johns felt the need to kill off Barry Allen's parents. Of course, I also don't think they should have brought Barry Allen back to life. But I'm going way off topic. I like this trailer. I like Superman. I like the way that he is, presenting himself. He's just wanting to do good. I think that, the framing device of the trailer of the interview between him and Lois, like, I want to see that in full context, because I think there could be some really interesting things there. It's neat that, like, they already know, that Lois clearly knows that Superman and Clark Kent are one and the same.
Yeah, how do you like that little shift he does when he, like, leans forward and changes from Clark voice to Superman voice?
Superman voice.
Was that the right thing, or is it too on the nose, or is it just right?
But you need to do that. I think you have to have a couple things on the nose, because you need to sell the idea that no one's going to realize Clark and Superman are one and the same.
Yeah.
And that is something that, everyone has always been like, Christopher Reeve, he did it the best. And we never really got a chance to see Henry Cavill do that.
This actor seems to have a good take on it, from what I was reading on Wikipedia, which was citing some other thing. But
all right,
he would like the interpretation of Clark Kent's like a guy who's huge, but always trying to make himself seem very small in any settings and not stand out, but he kind of like can't help to. It definitely seems pretty clear they're drawing from All-Star Superman, among other things, but they've stated that from the beginning.
Yeah,
and Man of Steel and various other things. So yeah, I thought it looks to me I thought it looks good.
One gap, I guess, in my Superman knowledge, because I haven't really watched it, is the Superman and Lois show that was on the CW.
It's good. I've watched not all of it, but I'm gonna say more than 3 episodes.
Okay,
maybe 6.
I did see the pilot, but I guess it's a little harder to judge the two because like this movie is Superman early, and in that show, it's like Superman and Lois have clearly been together forever because they have 2 teenage sons. So like
they sure do.
It's a different Superman. It's a different world, different time.
A different time.
But man, I am excited for this movie because also, you know, I am really happy that Metamorpho is in this. You get a really good look at him in this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into Metamorpho. I think he's neat, and the fact that we're throwing him in here, it does seem like a random choice, but
give me the Sonic equivalent there. Who's Metamorpho of Sonic?
SBO.
Okay, well, sure, we'll go with that.
I don't know. What would you say?
I don't.
More obscure?
Right? How obscure is Metamorpho? He can turn into. He's an elemental man, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like, maybe SPO is a pretty, but I guess I don't really think of him as Metamorpho. I don't know. But there's other people, Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman. I don't know which one they're calling her. She's a hawk.
Yeah.
She's there.
And Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. He looks funny with his bowl cut. And he's played by Nathan. How do you say his last name? Fillion?
I think it is just Fillion, yeah.
Fillion, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's Mr. Terrific. He looks spot on.
Terrific.
I like the fact that there is Superman. They're showing other heroes, but they're also like holding off from being like, in this movie, he's going to meet Batman. He's going to meet Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
He's going to, and then they're going to form the Justice League at the end. Like,
I loved the Fortress of Solitude, the robots, the dog, like the stuff like that, you know,
Crypto.
as opposed
Crypto
to
is great.
Trying to, as opposed to like trying to bring in Batman or Wonder Woman or other, you know, sort of, but you get to have it both ways. Like there is existing superheroes and, you know, Superman is like in conversation with the idea of superhero, but in a different way than how it was with the Snyder movies. But like, some of the Snyder iconography is sort of in there, like in the way that like he's there, you know, it opens with like a guy throwing a bottle at the back of Superman's head, like a crowd being like, boo, Superman. And like Lois is asking him questions about making unilateral decisions that affect governments and countries. And what about that? And so he's just like, I'm just trying to help people. I'm not representing anybody. So I feel like that is kind of like a continuation of some of the ideas that were in Man of Steel or the other, you know, Batman v Superman : Dawn of Justice, and also Justice League.
I think it works a little better here because Superman feels more like a person.
100%.
Where in the Snyder movies, it's far more focused on, Superman is an archetype and Superman is a god. And how does he deal with the fact that he's a god in a man's world? And it's like, the one thing about Superman is that he never, ever thinks of himself as a god. Because the moment he does that, he's no longer Superman. He thinks of himself as like, he has these powers and abilities, and he is going to use them to help people. But he doesn't see himself being above anyone else. He doesn't see himself being better than anyone else. He doesn't see himself as a god who will judge those under him. And Snyder's Superman always seemed like he was one step away from doing that and was just struggling with the idea that he shouldn't do that, but he doesn't know how not to. And his only grounding is the fact that he likes kissing Lois.
One of the movies I've seen that deals with this in a way that I find more compelling than most of the recent DC output is the Lego is it Lego Batman movie that has Superman in it, or is it just a Lego Superman movie? Anyway, Lego Batman has this discourse about basically if there's a chance that Superman will destroy the world, we have to treat that as an existential threat. Don't the DC one do that as well? But like in the Lego verse, it seems somehow more realistic.
I mean, Superman is in the Lego Batman movie, but
I watched this with my nephew like 10 years ago. So
yeah, I mean, I think they do say that line maybe, but it's also in the Batman one. I mean, or at least the one I'm thinking of, which was the big screen theatrical release Lego Batman movie. Because I know there are other Lego Batman movies that are direct
to video,
to DVD and direct to video that I haven't seen.
Right, neither have I.
But I think they do in Lego Batman movie. They reference like the different. And the Zack Snyder one, that's like from Batman v Superman. That's Batman's point of view is if there's 1% chance that Superman could destroy us all, we have to take that as an absolute fact. And he's an existential threat. Therefore, I have to kill him.
Right.
Is his rationale in that movie.
That's very good Batman. But he hasn't killed the Joker. So,
yeah.
You know,
Batman.
1% chance that the Joker might kill someone again, then you should kill the Joker, right? No, is that not what we're okay?
You can't ask questions, or the whole movie falls apart like spaghetti.
I mean, I still don't understand the branding thing in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
1, I don't know why Batman feels the need to brand people. 2, I don't know why then other criminals will go, oh, we got to kill that guy because Batman branded him. What's their rationale for that? There is no
I don't know.
If you're all in prison and a lot of you were put in there by Batman, and then Batman arbitrarily decides to brand some of you,
right?
That to me says, oh, you also hate Batman. Maybe we should work together because this is a superhero world, and maybe together we can get Batman. This is clearly he hates you, and we hate him. But no, instead it's like, what are they just trying to gain favor from Batman? That doesn't make any sense.
As soon as anyone starts asking even just these amount of questions, Batman says that's the Riddler and just destroys you. Just like destroys every part of your life.
Right. Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is Batman v Superman. The extended cut is better than the theatrical cut.
It is.
But that doesn't make it suddenly
right. It's bad. It's bad.
It is so
not great.
No. Of the 3 Snyder movies, I think the best one is probably his Justice League, but even then it just feels like we're finally maybe getting to a point where we could be telling the stories that they should be telling in this universe. I
didn't like any of them.
No.
They all felt bad to me.
Yeah. Well, like the one thing Zack Snyder said in some interview, right, where he was like, I guess people weren't ready for me to deconstruct Superman. And it's like, yeah, because you're doing like Superman from the ground up. And when you do something from the ground up, you're not deconstructing them from the ground up. But it's not like there were 10 Superman movies and then you come in and you do a deconstruction of it, which would make more sense. But like you had some movies in the late 70s through the 80s and then legacy sequel that nobody liked in 2006. And now you have to reboot it. And
see, I like the 2006 movie better than any of the Snyder ones.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
as weird as it is.
I mean, it is weird. There's some weird things about it. When I saw it at the time, I was like, I love this film. But over the years, I'm like, there's definitely cracks. There's definitely things about this movie that just don't work. Like everyone always says, Superman never throws a punch. But yeah, you're right. Superman never throws a punch. And then also that one guy, I don't think he has any dialogue. The guy who was in Harold and Kumar, and he was also in House, and he's in that movie.
Oh yeah, Cal Penn.
Yeah, he doesn't say a word in that movie.
Wow.
So strange.
And wait, is James Marsden in the movie?
Yes, James Marsden is Perry White's son and Lois Lane's boyfriend?
Yeah, he's Superman's romantic rival.
Yeah.
So it's Tom.
Right, and that's that. Yes, Tom, Sonic's dad.
We found the Sonic connection.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's why he isn't. That's why he's only in the third in X-Men: The Last Stand for like 5 minutes, because he hopped ship from X-Men to Superman, and they went, I guess we're going to kill Cyclops.
Right.
Which makes perfect sense.
Then he retired as a small town sheriff in Montana.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's how it goes. Because at the end of the day, maybe Lois left him for I don't know if we there was meant to be a sequel. That sequel never happened, and the sequel was meant to get weird. Like there were reports of like an outline that basically involved the kid from Superman Returns hastily growing into an adult and getting superpowers, and Superman kind of having to kill him because he was also linked to Brainiac somehow. Just a lot of nonsense. That's probably a good thing they didn't do. But man, you gave the Superman franchise to a man who had just made Watchmen. And like, so to him, the epitome of superhero is the deconstruction of the superhero, because he dared to make an adaptation of Watchmen, even though he kind of missed the point, because what they changed the ending to Watchmen. Watchmen is supposed to end with a giant squid killing everyone in New York City, because Ozymandias thinks it's the only way to unite the world, not like, oh, we're going to frame Dr. Manhattan to destroying not just New York, but a whole bunch of other cities, because then that would be the whole world against the US, because Dr. Manhattan is supposed to represent the United States in an extreme way, kind of like how people look at Superman as a representation of the United States, which I guess is something that Superman is grappling with in this film. And it's also something they've grappled with in the comics, like there was that one story that's somewhat infamous to people where he renounces his U.S. citizenship and he's like, I am a citizen of the world. Oh, yeah. And there was, this all sort of, but yeah, like, so it seemed like maybe Zack Snyder was going, oh, I shouldn't deconstruct them as much as I am right now, but I've already filmed Justice League the way that I have. But then when you look at the outline that he posted of what Justice League 2/3 were supposed to be, I mean, it's still wild because you're dealing with that nightmare world and you're going to have Darkseid kill Lois or something, like Lois is going to die and all this weird stuff. And then you find out that Batman was supposed to impregnate Lois Lane. Like that.
David, let me stop you there. Yeah. Let me stop you at that line, actually, because, that's such a good segue to Batman is sometimes considered an urban legend.
Yeah.
So we got a letter from AltSynth. AltSynth. You say AltSynth's name at the end of a lot of the episodes. Okay, so this is the letter from AltSynth. Sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s, a friend of mine had me convinced that he had discovered a secret 15th stage in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. By absent-mindedly pressing buttons after completing the Doomsday Zone, he claimed to have unlocked the true final boss, where you fight the Death Egg robot on the moon, culminating in a massive explosion that took the moon with it. Incidentally, I have no recollection of whether this was before or after SA2 came out and blew up the moon for real. This is Grant speaking. The moon didn't actually blow up for real. That's fiction. Back to Altson's letter. I was so captivated by the idea that I even managed to convince myself that I had seen a screenshot somewhere that depicted that scene, but couldn't find it anywhere. Anyway, after countless attempts to recreate the button sequence and new developments in data mining came online, it became clear that this final stage didn't actually exist. In hindsight, it's obviously ridiculous. There was already one unlockable true ending, so it stands to reason to a simple little boy brain that there would be another one after that, right? My question is, were there any video game urban legends, Sonic or otherwise, that you believed for longer than you rationally should have? Even though it was basically just a bunch of children lying to each other back and forth, there's something to be said about that early internet era and the art and the air of mystery it lent to video games in particular. Thank you all for your continued work in this field, and thank you, Ashlyn, for the stickers and the magnets. Subscribe to ko-fi.com/sonicweekly. This is Alton saying this, not Grant or whoever might be reading this email out loud. I've already made peace with the fact that any additional names will likely reduce David's emphasis when reading on my own at the end of the episode. Alton. Okay.
Great question.
Yes.
And the thing that it brings me back to is my very first job was working in the middle school library when I was still in middle school. I don't know why I didn't have a class that period, but my class was you work in the library. Wow. And when you worked in the library, you got first access to the Nintendo Power magazine. And in the Nintendo Power magazine would be, cheat codes sometimes that would talk about these things. And sometimes there would be jokes, and other gaming magazines would have jokes like an April Fool's. Mm-hmm. And the one that really got everybody was you can get the secret Pokemon by playing your Game Boy, turning it upside down, and then shaking the cartridge. And like, it's clearly a joke. The Game Boy doesn't care that it's turned around. But that joke, like, there were kids who claimed in all sincerity, like, oh yeah, it worked. I got Mew, and then my brother erased my save. You can't see it, but I followed the code and it worked.
Huh. Well, I feel like the most famous one is the Smash Brothers Melee April Fool's trick from, I think it was EGM. I forget what the exact thing is, but it was like if you beat Ultra Smash on extra hard, something like that, in a certain time frame, then you unlock Sonic and Tails in Smash Bros. Melee. And I feel like a lot of kids fell for that, or at least a lot of kids lied about it online in the early like game facts era. I feel like I was doubtful towards it, but also entertained the thought that it might still be there. That it was like, oh, it's a joke, but actually the joke is that it's real. How does that track? I don't know. But I was like, I didn't really engage with it, but I was engaging with it enough to be like looking around to be like, is this? And some people were claiming, yes, it's real, but obviously not real.
I think it's that one. I think it's nude Lara Croft code.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
But with Sonic, though, I do feel like because of the like weird way that we were trying to find the Japanese lore and like the different sources that we were ferreting out to try and get our hands on, like, what is the story aside from the Mobotropolis, Robotropolis, Kingdom of Acorn, Archie, Saturday Morning, which was kind of like it felt like the dominant view of Sonic Online in early Sonic discourse. So I feel like urban legends that were true were like things like Ashura, but like it wasn't true in the sense that that was like a planned character and that character was going to like come back. I feel like there was some fanfic, something or other on like one of the early, proto
people
Wikipedias.
wanted Ashura to be a thing.
Yeah. No, they definitely did, because it was like, oh, it's because the way it was always presented, it wasn't, this is a palette glitch, although I think sometimes people were like, oh, it's a palette glitch, but a lot of times it was presented as you do this and you see a character that was meant to be there, or a character
you unlock them.
You unlocked Ashura, ignoring the fact that he doesn't always look the same. Sometimes certain things are green one time, but then that it's black another time. You're like, oh, okay. It really is just, I'm sure there is a technical reason for why there's the variance of the Ashura palette glitch, but I don't know them. I'm trying to sit here and think. I know as a child I was very obsessed with blue spheres, because I was 1,000% convinced that there was an end to it, and that the end to it would lead to a stage. I don't remember if it's because someone told me that, or if it's something I made up in my head, but that was very much like, there is something at the end of this. And I remember finishing the 7 stages because I wasn't getting perfects at first, and realized that you can jump ahead 10. Got through the first 7, I'm like, yeah. Oh, here's stage 8. Oh, of course, because the super emeralds. So then I do 14, and there's a 15th stage, and I'm like, well, that's probably, because it's special. And you just keep on going and going.
On grinding.
Yeah. And then I eventually did stumble across the you can skip 10. And I did write down every code, and I was like, okay, I'm keeping track of this. This must mean something. It must get me somewhere. But, eventually find out, no, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just certain there had to be something else to it. Either you get Knuckles in Sonic 1, or you get an extra stage.
It's a metaphor for something. I don't know what.
I'm sure it is, yes.
Or Luigi and Mario 64.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that there were definitely, growing up, kids who said that they had done something in a game, but I think a lot of times I just went, I know you're lying, and I didn't believe them.
Well, another one was you can jump over the flagpole in Mario 1.
Can you?
I don't know if you can really do that.
I mean,
but there were a lot of kids claiming that you could, who definitely could not pull it off.
Right. I'm trying to remember if you actually can. I mean, I know definitely with a Game Genie code, you put on the moon jump, you can go over it. And then when you do that, well, now you're just running forward forever because there's nothing else. The game will just give you ground until the timer runs out. But I don't know if you can I don't remember if there's a way to actually somehow glitch it without using a Game Genie to just hop over it.
All right, I just checked. Apparently you can.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
Those kids were not lying.
One of them were telling the truth, but they just couldn't do it again. It's like right. It was a once in a lifetime glitch.
Had to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at another letter from SonicWeeklyPodcast at gmail.com.
Gmail.
This one comes from Navy Blue, they say, hey guys, what are your guys' favorite Sonic spin-off games? My personal favorite is Sonic Battle for the Game Boy Advance. It has one of the best stories in the franchise, iconic sprites, and a fun but simple battle system. Thanks for a great podcast, Navy Blue. Thanks, Navy Blue. Spin-off. I mean, the first thing is what is a spin-off? But I think what is clearly a spin-off, what's a favorite of those? Do you include the racing games? I feel like it's like a cheat to go to the racing games almost.
Yeah, because I think the clear answer is All-Stars Racing Transformed, right? It's the best put together, very good example of the genre.
Has Wreck-It Ralph.
It
has Burning Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, that by itself makes it 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, excuse Danica Patrick.
Yeah.
Well, that's you know, that's just
a different time.
Yeah, it's before her and Sonic settled down.
It was
together.
2012.
Right. I guess in my mind, I think of the All-Stars Racing games as sort of their own thing because it involves other Sega characters. And so my first thought, I guess, for some reason is just Sonic R. But I guess that's still a racing game.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. If
we want to go.
Oh, yeah, go on.
No, you go. No, you go. Please.
Well, I have a choice, but I feel like it's too much of a wild card. You got to go first.
All right. Mine's a wild card too. Sonic the Fighters.
Oh.
That's a good answer.
I like Sonic the Fighters, and I have also been playing a fair amount of the Virtua Fighters and Fighters Megamix. I personally don't think... I mean, I'm not like the hardcore guy at playing the arcade versions against intense... I'm just playing on the Saturn Saru at home against the computer. And I think Sonic the Fighters stacks up just as well to those fighters. It feels like it's part of that sort of universe, and it feels like it's like the intro to it, which it's how it should be. Like it is kind of like, but maybe that's wrong because maybe it's like the totally different physics. Anyway, all I'm saying is I like Sonic the Fighters.
I like it too, and I think it as a multiplayer experience is really quite good. But I would say Virtua Fighter and Megamix and such, those are better in single player.
Yeah, I played a lot of Fighters Megamix as a youth on the Saturn. But yeah, no, Sonic the Fighters I think is a solid choice. It is definitely that, I guess it skews closer to Fighting Vipers, right? Like that's sort of the... Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it looks great. The squash and stretch animation is cool.
Yeah.
I love that look for all of the characters. I think it's where the hammer originates with Amy, right? Or did that come from the comics before Sonic the Fighters? The manga,
no, I think it would have been...
That would have been 96.
It would have been the game.
CD,
it would have been Fighters.
Yeah.
Because she definitely doesn't have it in CD. I don't think it's in any reference material before then. I guess they needed to give her something. They wanted weapons. And Fang had his pop gun. Amy has her hammer. And Sonic has his dashing good looks.
I like that his moveset in Smash Brothers, sort of uses that. It should use battle maybe more. You could argue that the kick, the down kick, the stomp is sort of like the kick in Sonic Battle, but it's not exactly.
Yeah.
But the way the spin dash works, the various spin dashes in Smash Brothers, they work in a similar way, the way they do Sonic the Fighters.
Right.
But what's your favorite spinoff, and why is it? I guess you said Sonic R, but yeah, Sonic R. I think that's a fine. Well, you said you have an answer that's going to blow our minds so bad.
Right. No, Sonic R was like, that was the first thought. But if we're still counting that as a racing game and we're not thinking of those, my wild card answer is Sonic Labyrinth on the Game Gear.
I knew it. I was gonna say
that is a wild card.
It is wild, but I was almost gonna say it.
If you want a Sonic game, you're going to hate it. But if you take it on its own merits, I think it's this fun little, you're rolling around, you're looking for keys. There's a hint of puzzle, but it's not really a puzzle game at all. It's just kind of fun. And
isn't the music pretty good?
I like the music. I like the enemy designs. I think
you could put any character in it. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. It gets a bad rap because it's Sonic, and you don't do that with Sonic. But it's just a neat little isometric adventure that
it could be like an iconic Game Gear game if it was not Sonic.
Yeah.
If it was Rystar, people would probably love it.
Yeah. Clockwork Knight.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Could have been the first Super Monkey Ball.
That's actually a pretty good answer.
Yeah. If somebody wants to do a ROM hack and replace Sonic with II, we'll see what we do. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Again, we should be patenting all this.
That's right.
Bo's answer was the racing games, Racing Transformed, but do we accept? Is that allowed?
Are we?
We've said it and then also said a second one. So I guess, do you want to say a second one?
I don't know if I can top the fighters as. I don't think there's a better spinoff than that if we don't include the racing games. And just what else is in contention? There's Battle. I'll give it its charms. Some pinball games, Spinball, Pinball Party.
All right. Yeah. I guess Spinball seems like a pretty obvious answer, but we all skipped it.
Is that anybody's favorite anything?
Donnie from Sonic News 1991 or whatever. That's not his name. But the Sonic News guy, he loves Spinball.
Loves the Spinball.
He loves the Spinball. So there's one. You got one at least.
I don't want to slam Spinball entirely. I played a lot of Spinball when I was a kid, but definitely not my favorite.
Okay.
It's got some fun sprites.
Yeah.
It's very
Cave's music is banging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the music. I like the grunge look. That's very 90s.
Yeah.
It kind of evokes like Amiga games in a way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Didn't they develop on Amiga?
They might have. I mean, because it's done in, what was it? C? Was it done in C or was it done in?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
C,
so it's because Amiga games always have a look to them.
Yeah.
And so whenever I would see a screenshot of one, I'm like, okay, that's not on the Genesis. But every once in a while, there'd be a funky Genesis game that looks like an Amiga game. And I guess Spinball really does have that look. But it still looks Sonic. So,
another answer is, maybe this will be my answer, but I want to be distinct from you two, is Tails Adventure.
Oh,
great answer.
That is a good.
Yeah.
And it's another game you could plug in any character and it would still work and would probably be in the top list for the Game Gear.
Yeah.
But I like playing as Tails. I like collecting the stuff. I would like a ROM hack where you're not limited to 4 items, because that is a real pain when you equip the wrong item and you go in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I think there are some clever bits of that where you really feel like you could run through that gauntlet where you got to go through the underwater part and you never quite can make it, but then you get the shield and then you can just breeze through. And they thought about that one for a while. You can see the care they took with it.
Yeah. I mean, that really probably is the best of the spin-off Game Gear games. Like, if you pull...
Yeah.
And I would argue that, even though it is Tails, I think a lot of people would throw it in the top 10. Just because it is Tails. Like, if it was Sonic and you're going slow, people react. But it's Tails, they give it a pass. So maybe if Tails was started in Sonic Labyrinth, if it was Tails Labyrinth, everyone would like it.
I guess Knuckles Chaotix, it would be spin-off game. Is that anybody's favorite anything besides music?
No. I mean...
Have we ever answered this question? Because we're right in it.
Oh.
Is which Sonic character should get their own recurring series of games, thinking of how Yoshi and WarioWare both began as offshoots of Mario from Mysterious Mr. E. Did we ever talk about that? I feel like we missed it.
I don't know.
I don't think we did. That's a good question. The obvious answer is Chow, right?
Chow make a lot of sense.
Right, which is why I should patent my Chow toy idea from the other...
Yeah, Mr. Potato Chow.
Mr. Potato.
I got a Chow toy in the mail today. It's a little plush, my dear sister.
It's hard to think of which character specifically, because I feel like we've batted this around enough to where most of the major characters I have now in mind existing pitch almost of what you should do with Tails, what you should do with Knuckles, what you should do with Amy, Shadow.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one, but I think you could do. I think Chow makes sense. Shadow makes sense.
Yeah.
I would love to see Amy. Then it's like Tails or Knuckles also could make sense, but not sure why at some point.
Well, I mean, if Knuckles had his own game and it's like half brawler, half treasure hunting.
Breath of the Wild is the Knuckles game, right? But they'll never make a Knuckles game but they could, you could do my Knuckles pitch, I guess, is like Metroidvania Knuckles, which is you climb, you're finding stuff, you dig, and then you get more stuff, then you can dig further, and then you get other stuff, just like Sonic Adventure 2, you're collecting all your gear.
You dig all the way to the center of the earth.
Yes.
That's how the game ends.
And you know what you find? Skittles.
Whoa. That's what's in the molten core. And then in the Knuckles, he sticks his tongue out, he tastes it, and it's a sour Skittles. And it's just
it's the grape flavor. He's over the moon.
Wow.
Right. What is your favorite flavor of Skittles?
What are the ones in the purple bag? Is that tropical?
The tropical? I think that's the purple bag, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like M&Ms.
Oh, you like M&Ms. Okay, what's your favorite M&M?
Peanut.
Peanut.
Peanut M&M.
Oh, you like the peanut in the middle. Oh.
Yeah, I like that peanut.
Right. I've always been more of a peanut butter M&M man myself.
Those are also good.
Right. I guess
candy in general is good. Like most times candy's not going to miss. Like
Sonic Lifesavers, of course.
Oh yeah.
That was huge.
I think we've already discussed this, but Lifesavers really fell off there. When's the last time you saw a Lifesaver?
Huh.
I don't know.
I guess
they're not even in the grocery aisle.
Are they not?
Right,
like
at the
when
checkout.
at the checkout?
You don't see them.
Wow.
Who's gonna pick up the Lifesavers when there's Sour Patch Kids right there?
That's true.
Yeah.
I wasn't super huge on regular Lifesavers. I liked the gummy Lifesavers, and I liked the mint Lifesavers. You know,
I would agree with both of those.
Those ones, like
crunch those in the mirror, it gets spark in the dark. Yeah,
that was always fun. Yeah, but regular old Lifesavers, nah, come on.
No, I don't think so. Okay, well, we're at the point where we're out of mailbag prompts and we're going to wrap up the show in a moment. But just want to say towards the hiatus, we'll be back. If it's too long, we'll pause the Patreon or the Ko-Fi or whatever. So make sure you're getting your money's worth.
We won't be long.
We're not going to be long.
No.
But some of us have other things to do for a little while. Plus, whatever. We'll be back.
We'll be out and about. Come visit us on the Discord. Send the email.
Yes.
Get the link.
Yes.
And enjoy this opportunity to listen to the back catalog.
We have a fair back catalog that we should probably patent. We should probably lock it behind a paywall. But we don't do that, do we, David?
No, we don't. Because we want people to come in and experience all of our episodes right from the beginning to whichever episode number this is. Have we been keeping track?
This is episode 3, or I'm sorry, season 3. Yeah, this is the 3rd episode, right? It's like just the 2nd episode was like a long blur.
A really long.
You're like, that was one episode? Like that was like a year. That was like 2 years of your life. No, that was one episode.
Wow.
This is season 3, episode 40 something.
Well,
we've been doing a fair amount.
That's right. We're taking a little break so we can start fresh with season 4, which of course we will be splitting into 2 parts, along with an episode where we're all dressed up as Metal Sonic. So look forward to that one. But until that, in these few weeks that we take some time to rest and relax and rejuvenate and stock up on all new Sonic the Hedgehog opinions, joined with all new Sonic the Hedgehog news. If you want to know the moment we get back, the best way to be informed is to subscribe to this podcast using your podcatcher of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for the Android faithful, Podcast Addict. You should also rate. You should like. You could review. What are the things? You can review an app. Say this podcast is cool! ! Hey, if you reject all podcatchers, we're also over on YouTube. We're at Sonic-Weekly. You can like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, our audio is joined by video game footage or sometimes just commercials. No matter how it's done, it's put together by friend of the show, Jack of Old Games. You want to reach out to the show like it was said? We went through a whole bunch of the mailbag. We need to refill that when we get back. SonicWeeklyPodcast at gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. You can also get a link to our Discord server where you can talk to like-minded... What do I say? Like-minded fans? Sonic the Hedgehog? Or you can talk about many things up to and including Sonic T. Hedgehog. God, it isn't like... This is why we got to take a break. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, so during our hiatus, we'll be over there. I'm sure one of us will talk at some point. You'll have a good time. And if you're able to support us financially to help offset the cost of hosting and production, we're on Ko-fi. You can throw in something in the tip jar, or for $5 a month, become one of our executive producers, just like Pigdan, Pabsy, Sonicu, Saving Throws, Calbagerian, and Alt-Synth. And you can get some stickers or magnets in the mail from wife of the Grant, Ashlyn, and you can put that on whatever you want. I won't judge. Gotta thank Smoovies for the edit. Thank you, Smoovies. Thank you, everyone out there, for sticking around as long as you have. Or if this was your first episode, we appreciate you listening this time and hope you stick around for when we come back. And if this is your first episode, like it said, there's over 100 episodes in the back catalog. It's not always about the most recent news. It's, we talk about classic Sonic games, modern Sonic games, the shows, the comics. We have some great guests who also espouse their Sonic the Hedgehog opinions. Sometimes those guests don't know a thing about Sonic. Instead, they're talking about Garfield. Instead, they're talking about Dragon Ball. And sometimes those are the most fun episodes, Just like we spent half an hour talking about Superman for some reason here. It's not just Sonic. It's whatever is Sonic waves, but it's also Sonic T. Hedgehog. And he's always making waves. He's making waves in our heart and in our lives, just like these two men make waves every week. And will continue to do so even on the break, which is why I thank Bo and thank Grant for being in the Wade pool. The Wade Wells pool.
Wade Whipple.
Right, Wade Whipple. Who's Wade Wells again? That's Sliders. God, I always do that. We should just do a Sliders podcast.